3, 2, 1, and then I'll point to you, and that's go. All right, ready? 3, 2.
Watching movies can take a while, and they often go out of style. But there's Megan and Ben to tell you what to watch with a smile. So I married a cinephile.
And we're rolling. Hi, guys. I'm Ben Farmer, and I'm a cinephile.
I'm Megan Carver, and I'm a cine-newbie. We watch all kinds of movies, new and old.
And we let you know if you should watch them, too. Welcome back to another episode of Season 5 of So I Married a Cinephile. Megan, how are you?
I'm good. If you're one of our Patreon subscribers that gets to see video, you can see that I've got all this like musical theater arm action going on.
It's almost Elizabethan
almost
acting.
Almost
Some
a little
very
bit.
bold movements.
Over there, the pot is. That's how. Is that Elizabethan acting?
I think so.
Okay,
We'll
I
just
feel
say
like
it is.
All right, fair enough. But I'm good. I'm
Excellent.
good. I'm feeling good in the neighborhood. How about you?
I'm also doing well. Very excited about our guest today
I
and the movie we're
know.
going to discuss. Do you want to give our guest an intro?
Yes, I would love to give our guest an intro.
Cool.
I realized the other day that I've known this person for, I want to say a year and a half now, almost 2 years.
It seems
Almost
like
2
longer.
years. It does seem like longer.
In the best way.
And he's someone that I've known for a bit, but it feels like longer because he's one of those people that I could talk to for hours and not even realize that any time had passed. He's an incredibly talented individual. He's got a wonderful podcast called Tipsy by 12, where they talk about lifestyle, talk about newest things that are going on, and definitely talk about Taylor Swift at least once an episode. Welcoming our friend Stafford Jones.
Hey, you guys.
Stafford.
You know, I was thinking the same exact thing. I am coming up on my 2-year anniversary in New York, and whenever I met you, I was literally completely new to New York.
Yeah,
so
you had like
it's
just
been about
moved.
it's been about 2 years. How exciting!
Yeah, you got through like the first year hazing of New
Mhm.
York. You survived, and
Mhm.
now you're like wise and shit.
I mean, the second year wasn't that great either. We so
Wait, did something happen this last year?
just a little thing. Don't worry about it.
Not
Don't worry
aware
about it.
of? All right.
And then, of course, with us always is our trusty producer, Molly.
Hey, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As always, I am not your host, but I'm here too. And I'm excited to be here, excited to have Stafford as our guest, and very excited to talk about everything this movie entails.
I know.
Yes, me too.
I
So
know.
let's-
I was specifically thought about you multiple times during the movie.
Really?
Did you
Yeah.
really? Oh,
I
that's
thought
so
about both
sweet.
of you guys multiple times throughout the movie because I was like, oh, I really want to know what Stafford. I really want to know what Molly thinks, just because I know you both have such an appreciation for this kind of movie. How do we want to transition to this?
Well, I was going to comment on the weather. The
Oh,
sun's
it
out.
is. The sun is shining.
Blue skies. It's a beautiful day.
It's another lovely day.
It's just another day in the
It's just
sun.
another sunny day.
Is that one of the name of the songs?
That is a name of one of the songs.
It's what
from
opens
the
our movie today.
that we watched. Yeah, because
we watched La La
La La
Land.
Land.
Layland.
La La Land.
Land.
Layland.
La La
La La Land.
There it is.
Land.
There
La
it
La
is.
Land.
I actually would so love that if that was like a parent mistake. Like someone was like, yeah, the kids went off to watch La La Land. They went to the theaters to watch La La Land.
2016's La La Land, of course, written and directed by one person, and it shows. His name is Damien Chazelle. You may remember him as the director-writer of a little movie called Whiplash back in 2014.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Which J.K. Simmons is also back in a small role,
Yeah,
but always good to see him. But our leading actors, of course, we have Ryan Gosling in the role of Sebastian, Emma Stone in the role of Mia.
Ugh.
Rounding out the supporting cast is Rosemary DeWitt, who plays Ryan Gosling's sister in the movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Rosemary lives in our old neighborhood.
Ben was like, she used to be our neighbor. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I saw her
"She
all over the
did?"
place. Yeah, I'd see her at least
no,
once
that's
a week.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's who we brag about.
That was our other neighbor who lived across the street from us.
At
Yes.
any rate.
But the plot breakdown, La La Land per IMDb. While navigating their careers in Los Angeles, a pianist, I feel like I have to say that word very carefully, a pianist and an actress fall in love while attempting to reconcile their aspirations for the future. There's one breakdown on here that is like a full page, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep it brief and just read the first one. So
Good.
I would say that pretty accurately describes none of the movie. So maybe it's just like a little snippet, but
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
like just surface level. So
exactly.
Stafford, one of the things we do at our guests here on So I Married a
Oh,
Cinephile
that's right.
is something we call Plot in 60 Seconds.
Oh
Which
no.
we give our guest
You were warned
an
about
opportunity
this. You were warned.
to
Some
describe
people
the
don't read
plot.
emails. Okay.
This is true.
Yeah,
I write
also-
really long
If
emails.
I
That
get a
should be
long
said
email, I just don't read it.
first. Fair.
That's true.
TLDR, you're on a
It's
podcast.
proven that people do not read emails, but if you didn't read it, here it is. We give you, the guest, 60 seconds to describe the plot from start to finish, filling in as much as you can. Molly will have a stopwatch ready to go. And when you are ready, just let us know. We'll give you 60 seconds to describe 2016's La La Land.
So I will say, I did read the email. I did know that this was coming. Did I prepare for it? Absolutely not, because I wanted it to be like
Good.
We'll
That's
see.
even
Organic.
better.
Are you ready?
Until people forget that they know that it's going to happen. We are ready
Yes.
whenever you are
I
ready.
feel like 60 seconds is a long time. I can definitely
Is
do this.
it?
in
Right,
Now-
it
now,
is, but
Keep
it
in
also
mind, this is not like a tagline. You're not like, follow your dreams and maybe sing. Like, you need to give us a plot breakdown.
I got
in
it.
60 seconds for this fucking 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alrighty.
Whenever
Ready?
you're ready. Hmm.
let's go.
Go.
We open up the movie and we have Sebastian, who's in a car, and we have Emma, whatever her name is, who is practicing lines. We go into Sebastian actually playing piano at a little bar, and he initially runs into Emma. They end up meeting again at a pool party, and then their kind of love story goes on to their whatever. We find out Sebastian loves jazz and Emma loves acting and all of that kind of stuff. Sebastian wants to open his own jazz club, and she's really there for it, but he's really concerned that he doesn't make enough money, so he joins this band, and this band is just like a pop band, and then they end up breaking up, and then Emma gets a audition for this really cool movie. We skip 5 years later, and oh my God, she's really popular, and they end up breaking up, and they're really popular, and she's made her dreams. He's opened the jazz club, happily ever after.
Yay!
Did I do it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably
You did
one of
it.
The best ones.
That was
So
a
good.
cliffhanger. I was nervous for you. Wow. Great job. That's
Thank
Plot
you.
60 seconds.
Yeah, because if
I
you don't
think-
do it, the floor pulls out from underneath you.
That's what I thought. I was really concerned. Wait,
Yeah.
did I say that they broke up twice in that? I feel
I
like
think you did.
It
but
wasn't
that's
clear
true.
whether they broke up or the band broke up,
That's
which I
kinda
really
true.
liked.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and that's also didn't know if the band broke up or not. Like,
Which
what?
we'll get
Guys,
into.
I-
Right.
I need to check my heart rate. I have anxiety right now. Like, honestly.
What is mine? Mine's a 92. I'm at a resting 92 for you. So
I have to
What-
tell you,
92. That's high.
it's my favorite
I wasn't
part of the
an
whole
86.
podcast.
It's fun.
I'm
60
at a
seconds.
97 right now. I'm like really
like you've been
pumped up.
jogging.
Sweating.
Yeah.
well, great job. That was Plot 60 seconds. Moving into first impressions,
Yeah.
Megan. This was not your first time watching.
Not my first time.
And we should say this was my first time watching
Right.
La La Land. Usually,
And Molly's first time watching.
and Molly's
La La
first
Land.
time, yeah. So usually the way the podcast goes is this is, established for Megan hasn't seen any movies. I've seen a lot, but this is one of those rare cases where this was just a movie I passed right by.
Yep.
And maybe this was because Trump had just won the presidency and I was just,
You were just-
in a dark place. But
This
yeah,
is why you should have watched it.
exactly.
To be honest,
this would have given me
to
a
give
little
you some
sunshine.
hope.
Megan, first impressions, I guess, watching it for a second time. Anything new you picked up
Yeah,
on?
so I don't think I definitely didn't see this in the theaters, although I really wish I had.
Mhm.
Like, after having watched it this time through, I'm like, this needs to be seen on the screen, a big
Yeah.
screen.
I agree.
But I guess like rewatching it, I actually loved it even more than I did the first time that I watched it. Like, there were so many things that I didn't catch the first time around. And there were so many different things that I appreciated about both Ryan Gosling's and Emma Stone's performance that
Mhm.
I was just like, I cried at least twice. Like, and I don't usually cry in movies, and I cried twice. Like, this hit me in all of my happy musical theater / acting love feels. What about who do we throw it over to?
Stafford.
Stafford, what were your first impressions? When did you first see this movie, and what did you think seeing it again?
Wow, I first saw it, I think, in the theaters, and I loved
Mhm.
it. And then it quickly became one of my favorite movies. So I've seen it so many times. And actually, I watched it last night in preparation of this, which is probably why my 60-second plot was amazing. Um, but
Humble brag.
I also saw like tons of things that I completely like one of my favorite films and completely missed moments that that informed the rest of the movie.
Mhm.
So it was really great. My first impression was I loved it. I know that people hate that Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling can't sing. That's fine. I don't care. I can't sing. And I the biggest complaint that I had was that and it wasn't even with the movie, it was with the people like talking about the movie about how like everything has a happy ending or whatever, and everything at the end really did have a happy ending. But I watch movies like for romantic aspects, and
Mhm.
their romantic aspect didn't necessarily have that happy ending. And so
No,
that's what I really liked in it. Like not everything works out,
no.
and that's okay. So generally I really really like the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, Close to
Excellent.
Love. I know all of the songs and I think about it often.
On.
Okay.
Molly.
Yeah,
Ooh, I get to have a first impression today. That's
you
very,
Yes.
too.
very
It's
exciting.
because
Well, it's
it's your
because
first time. It's your first time seeing it too. I'm
Is
really
this
Yeah.
Molly's
yeah.
inaugural first
I,
impression?
ha-
inaugural first impression.
it's my
Oh,
inaugural first impression with a guest. Usually I just let you
okay.
all
Oh,
talk, but that's okay. I also cried, and if you are a listener of this podcast this season, you will know I am a crier.
right.
Um,
Except for RoboCop.
except for RoboCop. Fuck that movie.
That's interesting. I cried during
And Indian.
RoboCop. That's
It's
weird.
so great. It's great. But that's the like musical theater lover in me too. Like I was pleasantly surprised at the fact that they really like dug into that it is a old school style movie musical, and they
Bless.
weren't like some people don't like musicals, so let's try to make it palatable for everyone. They were like people love musicals and we're making one.
Yep. Yep.
um and I have always been a huge fan of the choreographer Mandy Moore, so
Mhm.
I was really excited to see the work that she did
I
with
love her in
that.
the
The
Princess
Mandy Moore.
Diaries.
Love her. Yeah,
Ben,
It's
you ruined my joke.
sorry, because I had to look that up myself.
Right.
Because I was
For
reading
a
through. I was like,
second,
Mandy
got
Moore
really
choreographed this?
excited.
What?
Yeah.
So
Like Tangled?
and her social media handle is something along the lines of no not that one or no not her or something like that, because people
The
make that
other.
mistake all the time. And I
Oh,
even
yeah.
remember reading a little article that came out. It was probably not even a real article, but it was like why are all the actors thanking Mandy Moore at the Oscars? And it went into how, oh, they just have the same name.
Right.
I'm a big fan of dance reality competition shows, and she has
Oh.
made her name as a choreographer amongst dancers.
I
So
didn't know
Gotcha.
that.
if you
Interesting.
have watched So You Think You Can Dance or Dancing with the Stars, you have seen Mandy Moore's choreography.
Wow.
Ooh,
I
Stafford's got
want
a
to say
pro
something. I don't
profile.
know if I'm right. This could be like a
Okay.
complete lie. Whenever I worked at
Hot lie.
Disney, I worked one of my projects was the Christmas Day parade, and I think that Mandy Moore
Oh, probably.
choreographed like one of the opening numbers, because I know that I could be completely lying. Listener, please IMDb this to make sure I'm
Our
not.
one listener.
But
I
for
would
the
bet
one
$100
listener-
that you're right. And I would bet $100 that you're right, because all of the Dancing with the Stars, like big choreographed new group numbers, are usually presented by Macy's.
Mhm.
Oh.
So
okay.
I'm sure she's
Oh.
just like a part of that
She's
Yeah.
just
group
She
now.
has a man.
She's
Yeah.
on call for that. So
Yeah.
I would bet you're right. And we
Okay,
don't
I'll take it.
nobody Google anything. Just listen to us. We're right.
Just listen
This
and
is
trust
fact.
Just
us.
take everything we say as gospel. That's-
Absolutely
it's-
right. So yeah. So but I also went into it with a really critical, judgmental eye, because I think I'm in a mood today. I don't know. I watched it
Oh.
this morning.
I thought you would, because like you like come from musical theater. Like
Yeah.
it is your blood.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there was definitely going into it, there were things I knew that might irk me even before I watched it, and I tried not to let that get to me, but I did. But yeah,
Can I say this is more of, I feel like when we talk about like La La Land, it's in a different sphere. Like when we talk about like Greatest Showman, we can probably put it in like a musical movie sphere. But when we talk about La La Land, I think that it feels like one of those movies that was like made for the Oscars. Like, you know, those movies that are
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
made
Like The
to win an
Artist.
award.
Cats.
Exactly.
No.
No, I don't know who would agree with that.
They tried.
Wonder
They
Woman
really
84.
tried.
But I feel like
Hubris.
this is one of those that was definitely like made for an Oscar. So like I feel like for me and for any kind of like musical theater person like looking at it and like wanting to critique it on a musical theater basis,
Yeah.
looking at it from the lens of like, oh, this was made to look pretty, like the cinematography is great, the directing is great, all of that is great. Not necessarily like the best movie musical that's ever existed in its entire life.
Gotcha.
I agree with you, Molly.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. We're gonna agree
Great.
with each other.
Great.
So Ben, I
Ben.
wanted to toss it up. Ben, what was your first impression? Because you were quiet.
I relate to Molly in that I went in watching it with a critical eye, but not necessarily towards musical theater. And I think I've touched on this a little bit before. My training is not in musical theater, even though I've done a lot of them. So I had to check myself in letting the lead actors, I should say, have a little bit of grace, because one of them is playing a seasoned actress, which is probably not a problem for Emma Stone.
No.
Ryan Gosling is playing a jazz pianist. And as an actor approaching a role, to convey that I am a pianist and have been playing all my life, I can't cheat myself in saying, oh, I need to master this in 4 months, because that's not realistic. I missed that boat by 15, 20 years. So what can I do to make it look as realistic as possible? And I think that's how I approached their performances from a musical theater standpoint. I really didn't judge their singing, their dancing, any of that kind of technical stuff, because I know that that's not necessarily what they do as far as like where their strengths lie.
Right.
So I approached it with a critical eye towards Los Angeles in general. I felt like they were going to try and convince me to fall in love with LA. And
No.
I'm very biased in my love for New York City. So I try not to let them make me fall in love with Los Angeles.
You're like, how dare you?
How dare
How dare you even think about trying to make me like
And
La
I
La Land.
also agree with you, Stafford. It's a movie that was almost made to win awards. And so my impression of it, hearing about it, was like, it was, not to be crude, but it was a little bit masturbatory of Hollywood in that like, look at our
how
amazing city and our history. And
Okay.
we're going to make this movie that is just going to like make people want to give us awards, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also think it might be one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Oh my
And
God, Ben, wait, you liked it?
What?
Wait, Ben, this is big. This is huge.
Huge.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I'm not saying I like Los Angeles, but I liked the movie and I liked its message.
Y'all.
And I didn't expect to like
Ben.
it.
This
But
is
the reason that I
huge.
was quiet was because I was watching the movie.
You were fucking wrapped.
I was like on the edge of the couch, like
you were, yeah.
I was letting Rocket take my
Rocket
seat.
literally
you know?
pushed him
I
to the
didn't
point where
care.
he was just kind of on the edge of the couch, just like, and he was holding onto his pen and just watching, like he was barely remembering to take notes.
Cute.
So
This
yeah,
is making me so much happier. I don't know that you understand. Every single podcast that I listen of your guys's, that I'm like, oh my God, I love this movie. I can't wait to hear Ben's opinion on it. You
Yeah.
hate it. You just
Rip it.
like Van Helsing,
Rip it.
you hated.
Oh,
Fucking knew it.
Greatest
I know.
Showman, you hated. We went through the
mean-
entire new Star Wars trilogy. You hated it. So like the
Hated it.
fact that we are aligned here is
There
Yes.
it is.
I think I align with
Finally found
most of the
it.
opinions on this podcast right now. I think it might be one of the best movies I've ever seen, and we'll get into
Oh
it.
my
So that is my first
God.
impression.
That is huge.
Huge.
That is a big deal. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't already have a subscription to watch the video of us doing this, you need to,
That
because
might
there
be
were
worth it right
so
there.
many reactions that
Just the
happened
reactions,
right there.
like just make all the gifs and
There
put them
was
on
so-
Instagram.
Oh my
like,
God.
I think all of
I-
our faces like
they-
gained 4 years from the stretching and reactions to that.
They sold me, and I'll bring up the reasons why. So
Okay. All right. Well, then now we're into Q and Bay.
that phases us right into Q and
Q
Bay.
and Bay. This is like a symposium, a movie symposium. If you have any interesting questions or things that you're like, yeah, that's thought provoking, bring it on. Bring it on. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
And it's hard for me to differentiate this between rant and rave because I really want to just rant and rave about stuff immediately.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna try to segregate if I can, but also
Do
go
your
with the
best.
flow.
Do your best.
2021, integration's a new way.
I didn't know that it was the same director as Whiplash, and that makes so much fucking sense. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I have to ask the group: does anybody like jazz? Molly.
So
likes
my
jazz.
parents raised me on like
Rose. I was a Rosen.
my
I was a
podcast
Rosen.
is Tipsy by 12, and if you are watching the video, you've seen that I've been drinking a lot.
It's also a
We didn't know
pandemic,
what,
and
but-
you're 3 hours ahead of us.
Yes.
So.
Yay!
But my parents raised me on smooth jazz, so like yeah,
Smooth jazz. Okay,
Wow.
are we talking
it's
like
different. It's
That's
are we
different.
talking like Kenny G or are we talking
Kenny
like
G. My sister did play saxophone in high school, so I had to listen to OG jazz. But
Okay.
yeah,
like we're talking like Dave Brubeck, Thelonious Monk type stuff, or is that you're like, who is that?
I haven't heard those names before.
Okay, great. Great.
I am
yeah.
not a fan of jazz.
No.
I
Okay.
am an award-winning jazz vocalist.
Are you?
This is
Are
not
you
a lie.
really?
Molly.
Oh my god.
I did jazz choir in high school,
Oh my God.
and I have to say that in general, choir and theater and jazz choir saved my life. What's up? I probably would not have continued in school had I not had those outlets.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was a jazz vocalist, and at a competition, I got a award for a solo that I did in one of our songs.
That is so
And
exciting.
that was like over 20 years ago, and I still brag about it.
That's like Ben bragging about his Portland Area Theater Alliance,
Yeah.
PAMTA Musical Theater Alliance,
Which is
PAMTA.
only about 6 years old.
It is only about 6 years old.
And I will say that while I was performing in my PAMTA award-winning performance, they were filming this movie at the same time. So
There you go.
there it is.
I won for a Harlequin award for when I performed at a theater in Olympia, Washington.
How has this turned into
I don't
let's
know.
compare awards?
Everybody take a second and brag.
Okay.
Guys, I
All right.
win. My mom is almost 60 years old and still brags about the award that she won in ice skating, as well as being in the Oakland's Children Choir.
Oh
so
my
you
God.
never
Also
forget those.
Friends
You
of
never
somebody, J-Lo, wasn't it? At any rate.
Beyonce,
the reason
but yes.
Beyonce. The reason I ask about jazz is because like I hated jazz before I went to college. And then I took a jazz appreciation course and now I fucking love jazz.
Which
So
I think we took together.
Yes, that's
We
right.
took that class together.
So it's like that class made me love jazz. I didn't like jazz before that, and I gained an appreciation for like the science behind it, like what it actually does, how the structure of a song works, like the artistry of it. Actually, did you know that the Saturday Night Live song has never actually been written? It only gives you a loose structure of the chords, and otherwise it's always different every single time. It is always
Fascinating.
improvised. So I didn't know if this actually made you guys have any kind of, oh, maybe I should check out jazz music, or did it change your idea about jazz music?
I will say yes for me.
Oh my God.
It changed my idea of jazz. I'm not saying it made me fall in love with it,
Oh.
but when Ryan Gosling's talking about what jazz is and how you're listening to different sections
Mhm.
and how one person passes it off to another, there's a part of me as an actor that's like, oh, it's improvisation musically, which I can
Yes.
relate to. It's passing the ball, it's carrying on. It's not trying to show one person up or trying to be the best in the group.
No.
You were just creating something together, and then as quickly as it appeared, it's gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
She a musical ghost.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
pretty aligned there. So I actually went on a date with a boy who I wasn't really into.
Jazzed about.
Oh my
I wasn't
God.
jazzed about, but he was like, let's go to a jazz club. And I'd never been to a jazz club before. This was right before the pandemic started.
Hmm.
And it was one of the best experiences because I felt like I was in kind of a La La Land-esque kind of thing.
Oh,
And
Cool.
I was like looking at the performers and I was like, it was just fascinating. Because when you put yourself in that mindset of like, oh, it's a give and take and everything is building upon the next, and none of this is really like the most rehearsed. It for me as a person who religiously goes to Broadway shows that are rehearsed, if not over rehearsed,
Yeah.
it was very, very cool for me to see that. And I think this movie definitely helped open my eyes to that.
Mm-hmm. Any other question? Were there any other discussion questions? I have other ones, but
I thought jazz was them not playing the right notes on purpose.
that's what you thought jazz was?
And I was like,
That's what I thought whenever my
Switching
sister
on
was
the
in high school
keyboard?
jazz.
you guys are
band,
just trying
yeah.
to piss
I'm
me
just
off.
gonna throw octopus on the keyboard,
Just
and that
play
is
the
jazz.
right notes. No, it did give me a new appreciation for what it is.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm a changed person because of this movie, you guys.
Yeah.
I don't really know what Q and Bay. I read the email, but I wasn't like really intaking it. So, sorry, I love you,
It's
Molly.
okay.
It
I
was-
love you
appreciate
too.
your honesty.
It's so good.
But I think, is this a question I can ask and tell me if it's not? How did you guys feel about the perception of Los Angeles in the movie?
this
I
is
was
a great
actually going to
question.
ask that next question.
Oh, okay.
That is a Q and Bay question.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like,
good. Thank God.
solid Q and Bay gold. I thought that it was a romanticized version of it, but I also think that there was some pretty good realistic like dumps. I want to say they like dropped down into like, oh shit, traffic is horrible.
Yeah.
Always. And I also like when Emma Stone was walking to find her car after it had been towed, when she's just like walking down the streets, she's in this gorgeous outfit, and it's like you could not find a more Los Angeles dirty, kind of scuzzy looking area.
Yeah.
It wasn't dangerous by any means, but it just looked
Well.
boring and it looked uninteresting, and it was hilly and there were cars right over there. Like I
Yep.
could feel my asthma acting up just watching her walk down that hill. Like I thought there were a lot of really good moments where there were drops, and also too some of the people in it were very LA. Like the girl that brings back her fucking scone is like, is this gluten free? I want
Yes.
a refund. Like that, I was like, Molly,
Molly's just.
I hate her.
my life.
I feel seen.
I feel seen. But so I felt like there were parts of that like the people were very LA in a way. So I
Yeah.
thought that for the most part it was romanticized, but those drops into reality were very accurate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And
I
also
especially
feel
yeah.
oh,
Go ahead.
this is your podcast and I am
No,
ruining
no, go
No,
ahead.
you're
No,
not.
no, no.
You're a
I
guest.
feel like
Jeez.
the people that are in it, like, oh my God, what is her name? What is Emma Stone's name in the
Mia.
Mia. I feel like all of Mia's friends are very much like LA friends. Like she's like writing this one woman show and she's
God.
like, they're like, oh, you better have a part in it for me, like jovially, but whatever. And
I
then
hated
like
all of them.
the only people to show up to the to her one woman show and all that kind of stuff. I have
Yeah.
never lived in LA. I've only ever visited LA, but I've
too.
heard kind of like what LA is. And it feels 100% like a romanticized version, but it also feels like it does have those real moments of like, I'm working as a barista with this lady who like wants to know if her bread is gluten-free
Right.
and is like, you know, so I get that. Sorry,
And also
Ben.
too, like there. Oh yeah, Ben.
No, I was going to agree with everything you guys just said. There were moments. The one that stuck out to me was when Ryan Gosling is playing at the backyard party, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know people. Oh my God,
Wait,
microphone
hang on.
down. Are you okay?
Microphone down.
Good, we're good.
There we go.
All right.
But when he's playing when he's
Oh,
playing this
that's
backyard
right.
80s party, I was like, oh, I have friends who do like Disney princess dress up and are hired out to go
Yeah.
to kids'
Yeah.
birthday parties because that's like a line of work in
Yep.
Los Angeles. I'm sure it is in New York as well, but I couldn't help but feel like, what would the New York version of this
Yeah, we
story
don't have
be?
yards.
Is that Rent?
We don't
Is
have
that-
yards in New York.
Is that the
so-
musical
That's
Rent?
fair.
Is that what Rent would be, like the New York version of La La
No.
Land? I don't know.
I don't know.
No.
But I kept trying to think of what the New York version of La La Land would be, and I think you're
Ooh.
right. It was La La Land was a bright sort of sunny romanticism of what it is to live in LA. But I agree, there were just enough moments of like self-awareness to be like, no. You could spend 6 hours of your day in your car when you're just trying to get to an audition or get to work or whatever. So I feel like there were just enough moments that kind of grounded it in reality, but also made it a little bit above reality.
And I also love too that like Emma Stone's characters, so like Mia and oh my god, what's his name?
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Mia and Sebastian were like, they were the ones that were the most realistic of everybody else. Everybody else is kind of like plastic and fake, just a little bit, just
Mhm.
enough to where
Yeah.
you notice it.
Yeah.
And then they would like, there was one part where she went to a different party, the one that he's playing at.
Yeah.
And this her friend is like, oh yeah, here's this guy, whatever. And they're talking, and immediately just in the middle of his sentence, she's like, I'm gonna go get a drink, and just walks
because
away
he's
from
just
him.
talking about his screenplay or whatever that he
Yeah.
wants
Yeah.
to turn into a sit. Oh my god.
And I loved that. And
Yeah.
then like her, like when they're all sitting at dinner and they're talking about, oh yeah, if we go to this one kind of wildlife refugee, vacation, it's way more interesting than if we go to the one that's the nonprofit. And she's like, I'm fucking out. Like I'm leaving.
yeah.
I love that they were the most grounded people in this movie.
Mm.
You know
That-
what's so nice? I feel like if ever I talk about this movie with anyone, no one remembers or recognizes those moments as like being like really important and really pivotal to the story. I'm so excited and so glad that like you were talking about that really obscure conversation with this rando at a pool party that it's very exciting. Fun
It's a
fact,
very
I
real
actu-
moment.
It was really real.
I
Yeah.
made a GIF out of that
Did
out
you
of that
really?
moment.
I have to
Guys,
get it.
everyone
Amazing.
subscribe to So I Married a Cinephile's Patreon because I'm about to do something that's not audible. But she was doing this thing where she was like, and it was so
Oh,
funny. I made
yeah.
a GIF out of it. And it's one of my favorite things that I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
I feel like that moment in particular where she walks away from the guy is also shows that like she has done this so many
Oh my God.
times. She
yeah.
knows what this like it's not this exact guy, but this guy in a suit with shorts is gonna tell you about his new script, right? Or his new
Yeah.
play.
No
Like
one
whatever it is. And
cares.
she was like, I don't care. And I had so much respect for that. And I think it was really a big part of like that like LA thing too. Like
Yeah.
it was an
I-
important moment to see.
And I also noticed too that like her apartment specifically with her roommates, that felt like a movie set.
Yeah.
But not like a movie set like what we have nowadays, but a movie set from like the original golden age of movie musicals. Like the way that it panned through
Yeah.
her living room into her bedroom and she falls down on the bed. And like when they pan out and they're doing the whole singing thing before they go to the dance, I was like, there is no way that anyone could afford this kind of an apartment in LA. Like that's not a thing. They wouldn't be able to. They need at least 7 more roommates for this.
Yeah.
But like I loved the feel of like I could just feel somebody holding onto the set and like moving it
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
they were moving the camera through, which I was like, that's like somehow it's an homage both to jazz as well as just the craft of movie making, specifically movie musicals.
Did they have enough songs? There were only 6 songs in this movie.
You mean musical numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's very much like Act 1 heavy. Like there are a lot of
Yeah.
songs
I
in
agree.
Act 1, and there are like no songs in Act 2 except
Yeah,
for
Act 2 is, like-
reprises of Act 1.
I
Yeah.
wonder if they cut anything.
That's something that I think about often. I know it was for the most part like a Pasek and Paul kind of production. Like Justin Horowitz did most of the music for it.
Yeah.
But Pasek and Paul did like lyrics and stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that I wonder if there were more songs that just weren't included. Because what I'm probably guessing is like the studio was like, okay, this is we're good. Like we don't need
Right.
any more. But I don't know. I made that same observation, Ben.
Yeah, because there are only 6 musical numbers. So I was just wondering if
It
usually
kinda-
musicals have a lot more.
So this to me kind of felt like the way that like some people are like, oh yeah, it's a musical, or oh, it's a play with music, and people are like, what the fuck does that mean? Like a play with music is a musical, but it's not. It's like there needs to be separate things, and somehow this meets in the middle of that. It's
Yeah.
not a musical movie. It's a movie with musical numbers in it somehow.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's almost to me, it's almost more that than an actual musical. I don't know.
Right.
It rises really fine line. in
For
my
a musical, it
opinion.
would need to have more numbers.
Yeah.
Did the music advance the plot? That that's always what you have to ask. That's what
Yes.
a music, right?
I will say, except for the first song, Another Day of Sun, which is the most useless song I've ever heard in my entire life, but
But
it's
it's
also on
so
my Good Morning
damn
playlist.
catchy.
It doesn't do anything for the story at all.
Also,
At
and
all.
that
At all.
number, I love the random parkour guy. Like everybody else is
Yeah.
dancing, and there's just this guy in a purple shirt doing parkour everywhere. He's not even like mouthing along with the rest of the people that's singing. He just like jumped up from the parkour like setup downstairs and was like, "Oh, look what's wow."
Do you know what I think about all the time is whenever they cut to the people in the back of the van, I'm like, oh my God, how
Oh my
hot was
God.
that van? That
Sure, I wrote that down. I wrote
Really?
that in my
I knew you
notes, and I'm
would.
like, so the moving guys just live in the van with these instruments?
with like
Yes.
timpanis. Yeah.
Yes.
They're just ready to go.
And it's interesting that you said cut to that van because that entire number is one take.
It's one take.
It's actually 2 takes. Fun fact.
It's actually
So-
3.
Oh
Is it
wow.
3?
It's 3.
You
Wait,
guys, this
Ben,
is
I'm
hot
gonna
takes
need
on
to tell you
takes.
what you need to tell me when the third is, because I know that there's a cut between
When they
them, like, in
pan
the dance circle
her.
and then
Yes,
her
it's
laying on
all
the top of
pan
the car.
cuts. It's all pan cuts, but 3
Yeah.
different takes.
But it's supposed to feel like one.
Right.
Feel like
and
one.
it's
And it
done
does.
very well. Like
Mhm.
if I hadn't looked that up or if I was just like nitpickingly watching, maybe I could have found them, but it was actually shot in a way that flowed very
Wait, Ben,
well.
what's the other one that I missed?
Yeah.
I don't know what the third one is, but
Okay.
everything that I read said 3 different pan cuts sort of combined together.
Because
They
the
were
interview
really-
I watched, it was with Mandy Moore, was like, pay attention because this is a one take.
Wait,
wonder.
Mandy Moore's in this movie?
Mandy Moore's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore plays Emma Stone, who plays
Right.
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 Any standout performances for anybody? Any favorite characters?
Ooh.
Like if there was like one person who captured this movie for you?
I there was okay.
I know
This is I was like, the Notebook is in La La Land. It was the moment
I know what you're talking
Emma
about. I know
Stone
what you're gonna say.
and Ryan Gosling are arguing, and he's like, "You're a baby. You're crying like a baby," and she's like, "I'm not a baby. Maybe I'm done with LA and I can't do it anymore." Like
And you could swap out Rachel McAdams for her.
oh yeah, he's like, "Get in the water!"
Get in
like,
the water.
like that was the Notebook is in La La Land. But at the same time, I knew that what she was saying, that just like it hurt because it
Yeah.
was so honest.
6 years for
Mhm.
her. Yeah.
Like you could tell that all came from an honest place. And how many
Yeah.
times did she have that conversation with herself?
Yeah.
Where she said, maybe I'm just one of those people where I just don't make it and I need to do something else. And this is what I'm meant to do.
Mhm.
You know, I fucking loved that scene, even though there wasn't any dancing or anything. I just loved the realism of it. Although I did appreciate the conservatory,
Mm-hmm.
Conservative.
where are they
Conservatory.
Oh, yeah,
the planetarium is the name of the
Planetarium.
track on the album. Yeah.
Planetarium. I did appreciate that
Yeah,
quite a
me
bit.
too. I could
Just
not
break in to the planetarium.
Yeah,
Is that-
I also too. I wanted to bring
Did
that
they
up.
just
I'm like,
break in?
they're just like, oh, this
if
door
you
is
go up,
open.
guys, it's common knowledge. If you go up to the Griffith Observatory, the door's just always open.
Always
Let
open.
yourself in.
I
Good
mean,
to
if the
know.
White House has
There-
taught us anything, just go where you want to go.
Just go right in.
Go right in.
The
Capitol
It's
building.
fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
cool,
could
cool.
not. I couldn't take my eyes off of what Ryan Gosling was doing in the sense that I felt like he had just enough awareness. It was almost like when they stepped in or from reality into these sequences that were very dreamlike, hence the name La La
Mhm.
Land. But there's more than once where he just like stops and's like looking around and be like, "Huh, look at this. This is neat." And I so appreciated that because there was just enough
Fishy caca.
awareness, just enough tongue in cheek to be like, look how cute this is. And
Yes.
we are about to do this. So
Yes.
let's have some fun.
How cute is this?
I
fucking
felt like he was
movie?
just having a great time. And I think he shot the movie The Other Guys, or Is that the right one? The one he
Oh,
did with Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Right before
right,
this.
with his broken arm.
Yes, and
the
he's
fake broken
so
arm.
goddamn funny in that movie. So maybe he was just on sort of this comedic vibe. I don't know, but
Oh.
I feel like he just had enough awareness during those sequences to be like, oh, cool, we're doing this now. So I just thought he had just a really captivating kind of presence and a great performance by him.
So
It was a
good.
little bit of mumblecore. There was a little bit of, a little bit of a Brando Jamesian kind of like,
Don't sit on that stool.
right.
I feel like for the most part, for me, I think it's Emma Stone. Because whenever I had watched Emma Stone previously, it had been like comedies. I'm sorry, there's a siren. I live in New York.
I
know.
There was like comedy. I'm looking at her now. She was in like The Amazing Spider-Man, and she was in
Superbad.
Oh my God.
Superbad. Yeah.
Years ago.
The Help. But I don't know.
House
This felt
Bunny?
like a really oh my God, that we can't talk about the House Bunny because I will just go on. I can't do that. But this felt just very different, and it felt very nice, and it felt very real, and it felt not like Emma Stone was playing a character, but like this was Emma Stone.
Yes.
Which I really, really liked, and like she obviously wasn't trying to pretend that she was the best singer that's ever existed. Like,
I loved that too.
Or the best dancer.
Or the best dancer. She was just a
Yeah.
person that happened to be involved in dance sequences
Yes.
and singing sequences. So I really like that. I think for me, like the reason why this movie is so great is because both of them feel so incredibly grounded.
Yeah.
Like they
Yes.
don't feel like they're trying to like be anybody. Like they're not trying to be John Legend. Like
Yeah.
they are just who
John
they
Legend's
are.
just doing
John
Exactly.
Legend's just being John Legend, right?
Yeah, he's just singing about feeling good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so I would say my answer for that is Emma Stone. Yeah.
There's that really beautiful moment for her anyway, where it's right after they start dating and he drives over to her house and honks the horn.
Mhm.
She has this look out the window
Ugh.
and there's like 5 different emotions going across her
Ugh.
face. Like, what is that? Oh, I know who that is. Oh my God, that's so sweet. Oh my God, I'm in love with him. Oh my God, he's
Ugh.
going to do that every time.
Yeah.
In the span of 3 seconds. And
Yeah.
she's just so good at communicating so much with it. It's
Both of them.
effortless for everyone. in
There was
this
the same
movie.
thing too. Like Ryan Gosling did the same thing when he saw her at the jazz club and then sits down at the piano after he says, "Welcome to Sebs." And he just sits there for a
Mhm.
second before he starts to play.
Mm.
You just saw like 40 different things happen with him.
Do you
The
think he
nuance
meant-
of that entire
Oh,
laugh
holy God.
is just absolutely crazy. With like
Okay.
the small smile,
Mm.
Mm.
absolutely wonderful.
It's masterful. But do you guys
There
think
is-
he meant to play that song?
He was not. I believe he was
Oh, I
not
don't think
going to
so.
play that song
I
until he saw
agree.
her.
Yeah.
I totally
no.
Yeah.
agree.
And
I think that is what his
That's what we're
process
watching.
was.
Yeah,
that's what
that's
we're watching.
what we're
That's
watching
the
him
decision.
decide.
Yes.
Yeah.
One
I
of
was
the This
captivated.
is one of those movies that just like makes me believe that love is so real, and then I like live my actual life and I find out that it's not. But it's one
Movies
of
are
those
bullshit. Yeah.
Movies are bullshit.
it's one of those movies that just like I was sitting down with my glass of wine and I was like, this is making me so happy. I'm so sad, and at the end I'm so happy because
Yeah.
everything is just perfect.
Right.
And you can feel both of those things at the
And
same
I
time.
so-
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's so subtle, so subtle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's great for Q&A, guys. I say
Yeah.
we move into our hot takes.
Into the hot takes.
Some hot takes. This is our sort of strong opinion, maybe
These are not
/
lukewarm
conspiracy
grabs.
theory
These are
section.
hot
So
takes.
Mm.
I wrote down a few, and I think I starred 2 of them. My first hot take:
Oh,
it's actually better when they're not lip syncing, in my opinion. They're not the greatest singers in the world, but the moments where they're not singing along with a track are
That's-
so powerful.
that's not a hot take. That's just
I'm
reality.
confused. When are those moments? I don't know them.
There's a couple of them. There's
and when Emma Stone's singing in her audition, that's her singing.
yes, her audition towards the end of the movie.
Interesting.
That's actually her singing, at least the first half. I
Yeah.
think. I don't.
Mhm.
I can't be 100% sure if there was track like halfway through, but there's also the scene where they sing through City of Stars for the first time in the apartment.
Yes.
Where
Mhm.
they sort of create the song together and they're
So
both
cute.
singing live. And there's actually a moment in there, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but they're singing one of the lyrics and they both say a different word. I think he
Right.
says this and she says that.
Right.
And they just went with it, and they both had this look on their
Little
face,
giggle,
and there's
giggle.
a little laugh, giggle afterward, like, "Oh, you said the
You
wrong
did
word, or
that.
maybe I said." But they just went with
Oh.
it, and that's what was left in the movie. They used that take,
So good.
and I thought it was just so gorgeous
So
to
good.
just witness that, and to be like, "Oh, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're creating something in real time." So my
Mhm.
hot take was like, let them sing.
Just let them
Just let 'em sing.
Don't auto.
They're not the greatest singers in the world, but neither am I, and
No.
it's beautiful. It's lovely.
It is what it should be.
Yeah.
I'm ready for my hot take.
Go ahead.
Go, because
Go
I
for
have
it.
another one.
So I didn't have a hot take until you talked about it.
Mm.
The fact that City of Stars won for best song
Mhm.
is absolutely outstanding. The fact that City of
Molly,
Stars
shake
and
your
Audition
head.
were
Sorry.
nominated is crazy, but the fact that it won is just City of Stars is one of the most basic songs I've heard in my entire life, and the fact
Yeah.
that it won an Oscar
Basic.
for literally being consistent of like 4 notes is
Yeah.
stupid to me. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And,
And
two,
I'm
like,
not even.
I
Oh,
feel
sorry.
like
go.
Audition's a better song. If
It
you were to put
is.
both of those up, it's a better song.
Like, patently, yeah, it's great.
And there's City of Stars, there's another one, I don't
There's
remember.
a John Legend
Oh,
song.
the Waste of a Lovely Night or whatever.
Lovely
Yeah, John
Night. Lovely
Legend's
Night
got,
is
like,
so
another-
good.
Yeah,
Dude,
Lovely
you know what
Night's great.
You know what I love most about Lovely Night is what they did with it in the actual movie. Like, I hear it in the soundtrack and it's fine, but like the fact that they paired the choreography, thank you, Mandy Moore, and the song was genius. So I think A Lovely Night, if it was like all together, it probably
Right.
would have
Sorry,
won an
which one was a
Oscar.
lovely night?
That's right after the
It's the car
party
one.
where she can't find her car and they dance around.
Oh, like during the golden hour.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
That's not
I
cool.
implore anyone listening,
Golden
like,
Hour.
look up the clip of A Lovely Night in La La Land, and like the fact that they're like tap dancing with it and like putting their shoes on with it, and just like there's so
my God.
much in
Oh my
it.
God.
It's
So
really
cute.
good. Yeah.
I have trivia for that section specifically, which I'll.
I
get
know. I
into.
was like, can we choreograph that? Like, we can figure out just at least the toe thing for us.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cute.
It
So
was-
cute. My hot take is actually, I'm stealing it. This is a hot take that is effectively that the whole thing is actually a dream. And
Oh.
It is
that-
La La Land.
It is La La Land. And that she said when they're like, hey, come to this party. She's like, no, I think I'm going to stay home. And they're like, no, it's going to be fun. She's like, no, sweats in bed. She actually fell asleep.
That makes sense.
And
Do,
that
do you
the
know why
rest
that
of
makes
it
sense?
Is
It
a
makes
dream.
sense because she changed into that dress so quickly, like it's not humanly
Yes.
possible.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
And
I-
makeup.
With a good quick changer, it's super humanly possible. As I have quick change drag queens. However, you're correct.
Yeah.
But I
Like,
think
Hair
that
and makeup
yeah.
too.
hair and
yeah.
wigs.
I never
That's-
thought of that before, Megan.
Yeah,
That's
no, that's
genius.
something, and I think I stole that from somewhere else. Like that's out in the web interverse or whatever. That it's like a whole thing that there's at least a section of the movie that's a dream. And so in my mind, I was like, yeah, but if we're gonna go with that, what makes the most sense
Like when?
is that is when she. You're so handsome.
Thank you.
Is when she just goes to sleep after her shitty ass work day. What are you doing?
Oh my god, and it makes so much sense because she like runs it. Guys,
Yeah.
I'm like the one that's like really plugging the Patreon here because you have to watch the video. This is so funny.
Maybe we should do this more often.
We
and
should.
Like, hey,
There's
Patreon,
stuff that
thank
you're
you.
missing.
There really is.
You need to watch the video.
You really don't.
So that's my hot take.
It's so funny.
Is that twas a dream. 'Twas nothing but a lovely dream.
I have a few others to touch on, but maybe I should.
Let's hear one of the other hot takes. Does Molly
select.
have a hot take or
Molly, do you have
conspiracy theory?
I
or-
have a little bit of a hot take, and it's
Go ahead.
that the costumer tried to make Ryan Gosling as ugly as possible through clothing because he's too handsome for his own good. Can we talk about the brown suit in the last scene?
Yeah.
Like
I
that's where it
didn't
really
hate
sealed the deal.
it.
He's
I
got
didn't
good shoe.
hate
He
it.
had good shoe fashion.
I can see
Yeah.
that at a
Nobody.
hipster wedding.
Good ties
Nobody.
too. He had very good
A
ties.
Brooklyn wedding for sure.
But I was like, this doesn't fit how like it felt like they were trying to be contradictory. Like, oh, he's into jazz, so he's
He looked
into
like
like
a man
funky
out of
clothes, but they
time.
didn't make him funky. or
Molly,
jazzy.
we are fighting right now.
That's fine.
Because Ryan Gosling, I don't think anyone will argue that Ryan Gosling is like one of the hottest people on the face of the planet.
Right.
But in order to make him look like a regular LA guy, I'm on the side of the stylist to like make him look regular. I can't
then
watch
you're
Captain
agreeing.
America.
That's what I'm. No, you're agreeing with me. Then they
wait.
did their best to like
Are
make
we-
him
their best.
ordinary.
Yes.
Okay.
Like they did it.
Yes.
And
It's
yet-
hard.
It's a good
He's showing
job,
through.
but it was
I
not.
forgive you.
The clothes weren't good. Like, I mean, they were good in what they were trying to do, which was make
Right.
him ordinary.
It's like that movie we
But-
watched on HBO with Hugh Jackman where he's playing the high school principal, but he's so tall and so muscular that even if you try to make him look like a high school principal and give him a comb over,
Right.
I'm like, you know, it's Wolverine under the under the suit.
Well,
like,
but then you just make him a horrible person, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is terrible.
yeah.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
Here's
I,
the-
yeah, I
there-
agree.
The other hot, and this was just, I was curious if anyone else noticed this, that anytime that he was in that jazz club, the first jazz club that he was just performing in, like not necessarily his club that he
J.K.
owns.
Simmons's club.
Yes, J.K. Simmons' club.
I was like, oh no, is he gonna throw a chair at him?
No, not J.K. Simmons' club. I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
the Christmas
This
club.
is not the Christmas club. The
Okay.
second one that he was at, where it's like him, Emma Stone, and then all black people. Like,
Oh.
did anybody else notice that?
Yes.
I didn't.
I
until right
didn't.
now.
I didn't.
He
notice
did
it
hand the
first
piano off to
time.
another white pianist.
So I was like, okay, so there's the 3 white people in the entire building, and I was like, that's so. It seemed very purposeful, and I don't know why, and I want to know why.
I noticed in general that the background actors were very
Yes.
diverse,
I did
but
too.
that the lead actors were not.
I
like,
noticed
that was, like,
too.
First and foremost, my first like thing when I saw the opening, I was like, look how diverse this cast is.
right.
I mean, not counting that we didn't have anyone with a disability, we didn't have any fat people, but like that's fine. We're getting there.
was a salsa dancer at the beginning. I did notice her. She was
Yeah.
she was a larger woman, which I
Okay.
appreciated.
Oh yeah,
That
and there was a
fun.
flamenco dancer at the end, like in the middle. But in terms of race,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was diverse, and I was hoping that would carry through, but knew that
It wouldn't
knowing
have
who the
worked.
leads were, that it
No,
wasn't.
principal
I think
cast
that
was
one
not
is
as
like-
diverse.
That was, I think, one of the chief complaints about the movie. Whenever it was like up for Oscars, that it like
Yeah.
wasn't diverse enough. That like they
Yeah.
tried, but they failed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was one, and I don't know if I wrote this down as a hot take or as trivia, but I guess it is a hot take / conspiracy
It's
theory.
hot trivia.
There was this uproar about the movie about Ryan Gosling's character being the white savior of jazz.
I thought of
And
that.
how-
Yeah.
A lot of people had issue with that, and I didn't know if you guys
I
thought that
noticed
was conveyed in the
that.
same way,
I
or if you think
did.
people were getting up in arms
I
about nothing.
totally caught on to that.
you? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
because he's like, the guy,
Yeah.
the John Legend's like piano wasn't as good, and literally everybody else in John Legend's group was black, and it's like no one's as good as Ryan.
Well, the guitar
Ryan
player is white.
Gosling. Oh, is he?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, then my dreams are shattered.
I'm just
John
saying.
Legend is the guitar player.
Oh yeah, John Legend. Was
The,
guitar
so the
player.
bass,
The bass
guitar
player.
player.
Bassist?
Yes,
Okay.
so the bass player.
And then like, the whole like club thing, it's like, no, I'm here. He literally says jazz is dying, but I'm here to save it. It's not
Not
gonna
on
die
my
as
watch.
long as I'm around.
Right.
Yeah, not on my white watch. Like,
Not on my white watch.
I noticed it.
That's the t-shirt for
This-
sure.
Yeah, it was. I did notice that for
You
sure.
know what's interesting? Whenever on my old podcast that I had, I was
Like that?
talking. We were talking about like white savior kind of things.
Yeah.
And La La Land came up as like on the list, and I had never really thought of it that way
Sure.
Yeah.
until I was like forced to think of it that way.
Hmm.
And I don't necessarily think that I 100% believe that.
I don't think so either. But
Because I mean, like as a white person, you're not allowed to say that, but
Ex-
as a
Right.
black person, I'm kidding. I'm
I was
kidding.
about to say, like,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
a white
Gentlemen,
male. Like,
let's make.
I don't think the story
brave
was
space.
about
Let's make
jazz.
mistakes.
okay.
Like the story wasn't about jazz. It wasn't about saving jazz. So you can't save jazz if it's not about
Just an
jazz.
aspect.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I did
okay.
appreciate John Legend's like, you're trying to be a traditionalist. How can you be?
I wrote down that quote.
Yeah.
Such a good
Yeah.
quot.
Yeah.
How can you
What
not
was-
evolve?
How,
you know?
Yeah, how can
Yeah.
If you want to be a
evolve?
revolutionary, how
can't.
can you be a traditionalist?
Yes.
Sure.
Which
Or
I
how
think
can
is
you be a
great.
traditional-
Yeah, and I think
How are you
that
going to be a revolutionary when you're such a traditionalist?
traditionalist? And I think that applies to anything in the arts. I totally agree.
You gotta
with
shake
that.
it up. You gotta shake it
Yeah.
up.
I'd like to say for our listeners who aren't on Patreon that I am fat and Stafford is black. So I use that term. I take it, but I'm not being derogatory. It's a descriptor.
Sure.
And
Yes.
Stafford can talk about race as much as he wants and tell white people not to say things. So
And I will.
yes,
I will.
yes. But I want to point that out for our listeners.
Yes.
I
might-
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Another hot take I wrote down. I really don't want to step on any toes here, and maybe this is an open forum discussion that I am completely open to having.
Okay.
I want to talk about actresses and their weight.
Okay.
Emma Stone in this movie.
Yes.
I've seen her in many other movies prior to La La Land.
Yes.
Including Superbad, including Easy A.
Right.
I feel like she looked very skinny in this movie.
She
I
does.
also referenced Jennifer Lawrence in a movie like, you see her in a movie like Winter's Bone, and then you see her in, I don't know, the
Mockingjay.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember certain movies where
Celestial. What was
you
the
would
one
have
with
to
Chris Pratt?
trim down because it's a really physical role, but at the same time, to me, it was very jarring looking at Emma Stone. And
It's
I
not
may have said Emma
necessary.
Watson before, but it's Emma Stone, and
Mhm.
it looked to me like she had lost a lot of weight.
Yes.
I don't know if she looked healthy to me or if it was required by
Stafford,
we
where'd you
lost your
go?
video.
Stafford, come back to us, please.
Are you here?
Are you-
Stafford,
There he
there he
is!
is!
There we go.
Sorry, my internet is weird sometimes.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's
Okay.
okay. So anyhow, Emma Stone looked very skinny to me, and I'm wondering if that was just me. If we can have this discussion about how I feel at many times actresses who are on the up and up are being forced or
Pressured.
maybe pressured
Yep.
to not lose weight, but just like in
If you could just
and knocked up, just tighten it up,
you could
just step on the scale,
really-
take that number, and then take 15 off that. If those discussions are being had, because I think they are, and I feel
Yeah.
like that needs to be talked about.
Yep. I totally agree.
I can't
So it wasn't just
input
me.
this because I'm a person who's been skinny for their entire life, so I have literally no idea.
Hmm.
And I'm also not an actor, so I have no idea.
Sure.
But as a casual viewer of La La Land, I didn't necessarily notice that she was like super skinny.
Okay.
I
She
noticed
might have been like skinnier than who she was,
Yeah.
like who she
Okay.
actually is, but I don't
Okay.
think I actually noticed.
I noticed that, and I noticed it specifically with any female in that movie that was portrayed as an actress was very thin, almost painfully thin.
I
Okay.
think that
Mm.
is a pretty fair assessment and generalization of actresses in LA.
Mhm.
There is a very high standard of being thin, along with dancers.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be
Mm, yeah.
surprised. So there was 3.5 months of pre-production, and they danced every single day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dance rehearsal. If you are not a dancer and you don't know how to physically care for yourself, like the right nutrition,
Yep.
Yeah.
the right amount of protein versus carbs, and at what time, you're
Yeah.
gonna lose weight. You're gonna
Sure.
lose weight dancing 8 hours a day. Like you see it on Dancing with the Stars. Celebrities come on and they're like, I can't wait to lose weight. And so it could have been a byproduct of 3 months of rehearsal.
Maybe.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
It could have been a byproduct of being with other dancers and feeling inadequate, and the only thing
Maybe.
you can control is what your body looks like.
Mhm.
And it may be that it's an accurate representation of LA, right? Like,
Do you think that like a studio
Yeah.
exec went to her or like anybody went to her and was like, hey, we should probably lose some weight?
They said that to Carrie Fisher when they brought her back for Star Wars.
Here's the thing.
Really? I didn't know
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I think they say it
that
to
is-
every, yeah.
That
They
is
do.
deplorable.
They took
Oh my
like
goodness.
all of the
Is-
soda out of her fridge.
They
like,
will
literally.
never, I don't think anyone will ever outwardly say, like, yes, we encourage the actress or actor to get in shape for this. They won't ever actually say, and I don't think the actor would ever feel comfortable saying that, unless you're fucking Carrie Fisher, but
Right.
who's the beast and an
Yeah.
amazing
Carrie Fisher would have told him to
prowess of
fuck
a
himself.
person.
Right.
RIP. But it's one of those things where I, as an actress in theater and film, as an actress, like have been told you either need to lose 30 pounds or gain 30 pounds.
Or even as like an American woman.
You need to, you're like, there's, you're very nice, you're very funny, but there is nothing in the market for a 30-something comedian.
Yeah.
I've been told that And I absolutely, yeah. I think
You need to
Okay.
lose 15 years or gain 15 years.
yeah.
Also that. I'm right
Yes.
there with you. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Yep. Either
be
fall
older
in a
or
vat of acid or have the acid put into your
Like
face.
Catwoman. Yeah.
Yes. Like Harley Quinn or anyway.
One last hot take
yeah.
very quickly, if that's all right. I just want to comment on the style of this movie. It is clearly a harkening back and an appreciation of the old, maybe Tracy and Hepburn
Yes.
pairings of those old Hollywood romantic couples.
Mhm.
Not only shot in CinemaScope, it's also shot in 255:1 ratio. So a lot of wide lenses.
I
We
wouldn't
get
know
to
that.
see and you commented on this as opposed to watching like a musical like The Prom on Netflix.
Ugh.
We
Oh
couldn't
no,
see
please
anybody
don't
dance.
talk about it.
But there are nothing but like wide shots, wide lenses. The camera is pulled so far back that you can actually
You can
see everything
actually
that's going
see
on.
people dancing.
So my question is, how often do you think we will see movies like this? Not only the type of movie, but the caliber of talent it requires from the actors to adapt to this kind of movie. You think?
Are
of
you
your Hugh
ready
Jackmans, you
for
think
my
of-
answer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Get it.
You won't.
Okay.
You'll only
I
watch
totally
it
agree.
if a studio is going for an Oscar. I think if they're
Yeah.
not trying to win an Oscar, I don't think you're going to see it because I don't think it's something that people generally care about. Like
I'm
people
gonna-
care about the Marvels of the universe and the Star Warses of the universe and the.
I'm gonna groundlings you, and I'm gonna I'm gonna
Oh,
say yes,
good.
you're correct. And when Lin-Manuel Miranda is at the helm, I think
Fair.
we're going to see.
We have In the
more
Heights
of that.
coming.
In the Heights, and then there's also two West Side Story.
West
that's
Side
gonna
Story
be
by
coming out.
Spielberg. Yeah.
I think if we those ones, I'm crossing all of my fingers and toes for. I would really love it if they had the same kind of feel as they,
We were
did.
supposed to get Guys and Dolls with Joseph
hate that
Gordon-Levitt
show. I hate that show.
and another actor, but that may have just fallen into, forget.
Maybe that's one of those shows where it's like I didn't like Oklahoma until I was in it. Maybe I need to be in Guys and Dolls in order to like it.
Yeah.
I always liked Oklahoma.
Anyway,
so-
only if
seeing
you play
movies like this-
Adelaide. Just only that.
Is that supposed to be like a Ryan
this,
Murphy thing? I feel like if Ryan Murphy was doing Guys and Dolls, it would 100% be a thing.
After watching The Prom, I certainly hope not. I
Listen to
certainly
our
hope
episode on the prom, and then
Definitely
and then
get
make
that.
your decision about that
Yeah,
later.
I don't think that's a
Listen.
Ryan Murphy fault. I think that's a fault of the actual.
not.
But I'm not on that. I'm not on that
You'll
episode, so
see.
we're not talking about it.
You'll
We won't talk about it.
You'll see.
If you love episodes of Glee, you'll love The Prom.
That's right. That's
let's
right.
hop into trivia. Let's cue that trivia music.
Yeah, amazing original trivia music. Here we go.
Yeah.
So during one of the City of Stars sequences, Ryan Gosling's character walks briefly onto a boardwalk at the Golden Hour. It's where he
Right.
starts dancing with the couple a little bit. There was actually a battleship parked just off of the shoreline when they showed up that day.
A battleship.
Actual battleship, and they're like, well, this is not going to work. The producer, Mark Platt, disappeared for about 10 minutes, and by the time he got back, the battleship was gone.
What?
So, that is an amazing producer. Props to Mark Platt for moving the battleship. Nice job.
Molly,
such a
are you that kind of
battleship.
producer? Can you move a battleship?
Can
I will fucking try.
whoever you need to call.
I will.
I think she
Call
will.
the
I would
Navy.
try.
Say yes.
It is I should say this movie was nominated for 14 Oscars, which tied the record for both Titanic and All About Eve. It is the only one to get that many nominations and not win Best Picture, sadly.
It almost did.
But it got
It
to win
almost
Best
did.
Picture.
Right. It did, and then it didn't. Thanks, Moonlight.
Was literally
Christ.
the only thing I knew about this movie going in besides the
fuck?
opening number was the Oscar love.
You know
Right,
what's funny?
right.
Whenever I visited LA with my ex, I think it was in like 2018, 2019, on the Dolby Theater, whenever you're walking up the steps, it has the name of all the Best Picture or all the Best Picture winners.
Yeah.
And I saw Moonlight, and I was like, that should be La La Land. Yeah.
You just give it the middle finger.
Yeah,
Like, how
Faye
horrible
Dunaway
is that?
said
I
it was
need
La
to
La
watch
Land,
that
so-
movie, though. I need to watch Moonlight.
I
do
haven't seen
too.
it either. Yeah.
Oh my God. Maybe you need to put that on here.
We're
Yeah.
putting it on here,
Thank you for
Invite
putting
me
it on
again.
here.
Thank you.
please.
The opening take is 6 minutes long, and we referenced this. It was cut together with 3 pan shots, which is what I have in my notes. So,
Insane.
it was the first director of a musical to win the Best Picture Oscars since Bob Fosse for Cabaret.
Oh.
So it had
See,
been
this
a
stuff,
while.
It makes sense. This is good.
The ending of the planetarium sequence where they float down into their
yeah.
chairs and kiss was actually shot in reverse. They start the scene where
Oh.
they kiss or fade to black kiss because they land in their seats so perfectly
Yeah.
that you're like, how many takes did that take? But
It
it
would
actually
be
didn't take as
impossible.
it
That's
would
one
be
of those
So
impossible.
smart.
It would be
really,
like a
really
Harry.
careful. Like you need to be really careful about your movement. Like it would need to be like straight across. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's like
And as I was watching, I'll say I didn't even notice.
I didn't
Not until I
either.
read it. I was like, oh, holy shit.
I
No.
also
be like
felt
a-
like, sorry,
Ugh.
I felt
No.
like Ryan Gosling's jump up onto the bench was also in reverse. Did anyone else catch that?
Yes.
It
No.
I don't think
100%.
it was though.
It might have been.
I was
can see
watching it.
why you're thinking that though.
I was watching it last night and I was like, there is something weird about that jump.
Weird.
I don't know what it was, but there is something weird about it.
Or they
Now I'm
cut
ready to
in
watch
one
again.
jump from a different take or something, but it was like
Yeah.
not.
It wasn't normal.
From
wasn't
everything
thank
it
you.
wasn't normal. Not to say he
Yeah.
couldn't do it, but from everything I've read, there's nothing referencing any edits or cuts there.
Maybe
I'm
he had,
curious
like,
to maybe take a deep dive
Big
in.
suspenders on.
But that particular number,
Yeah, he
they
might have
only
been
had a 30-minute window from 7:20 p.m. to 7:50 p.m.
That's what I was wondering
with that
about.
lighting.
Tracks. That
So they
tracks.
shot 8 takes over 2 different nights.
Holy Moses.
And the take that they used was the 4th one that they did on the first day.
So literally in
that
the
was
middle.
the best one out of all of it.
Of which
Wow.
song? Wait, sorry, I interrupted you. Which,
Of-
what are we talking about?
Lovely,
Lovely
night.
Night.
A lovely night. Yeah.
The one. Okay.
Yeah.
That one
So-
100% tracks because I think about that every single time I watch that scene, like how impossible it must be to film.
I also have to ask for that one, for that number. Did anyone else notice that Ryan Gosling's hands were like weird? He looked like he was trying to
No.
be a bird. Like
Oh.
I was like, stop it. It's not the Notebook. You're
He's
not a bird.
dancer.
He's not a bird. He's not a dancer.
No, he was great.
I
I
will say
loved
though,
his
Ryan
hands.
Gosling did all of his own piano playing.
Yes, he did.
Ah,
No
Shut
handouts.
up.
No,
Yes, he did.
every single bit of it. And John Legend is quoted by saying he hates Ryan Gosling so much because of how fast he picked up
oh, what an
all of that.
asshole.
That is
Because
crazy.
Ryan Gosling is actually a very trained guitarist, and John Legend had to learn how to play guitar for this movie.
Right.
So they kind of switched talents and expertise in this movie.
Now, it should be also noted that he only learned the songs that he plays in the movie, and he
correct.
played them for 8 hours a day while like other people were dancing for 3 months.
Yeah.
So like,
That
Right,
makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
For Emma Stone's very pivotal audition scene at the end of the movie, she got to decide where to start singing. They did Les
Oh.
Mis movie style where they
Oh.
gave her an earpiece. The accompanist
Interesting.
was playing off camera, and they did, I think, 9 takes over the course of a day. And the director just said, you just start singing whenever you feel like it.
And that's the thing. That's what I love about this movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just like
For something that's so
perfect.
fanciful, it's so fucking grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does ride that line of being, dreamlike, but also very much in reality.
Dare to dream.
Dare to dream. I dare you. Actually, I think that's all the trivia I
Oh.
had.
I had
Unless
some-
anyone else has.
I
something to add.
learned the audition song for a cabaret that got canceled due to the pandemic.
Oh no.
Oh no.
wow.
You know,
That's it.
happens. That happens.
That happens.
I
every
don't-
100 years. Oh my God, 100
Every
years ago,
century.
I cannot tell you how many cabarets were canceled. 100 years ago.
100 years
The
Molly,
only
anything to
trivia
add?
I had was like the fact that the one take wasn't actually a one take, but you stole that from me. So
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
What do I have? So
Well, he usually has good trivia.
the music and the script were written simultaneously. It took
Oh.
5 years. The composer and director, who also wrote the script, they met in college and were college roommates.
Aw.
And then I forget the name of the lyricist duo. It's Stafford
Pasek and Paul.
earlier, yes.
Mhm.
So they had like 5 different lyricists in mind to come in. So all of the music was already written. And they sent City of Stars to all these lyricists, and they basically made them audition with that song.
Ooh.
So
Oh.
everyone got to write their own lyrics. And then let's see what else. You already said that John Legend learned to play guitar for this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
He didn't know beforehand, and he had
No.
a lot of respect for Ryan Gosling for both knowing how to play guitar already and learning how to play piano.
Yeah.
Do.
Oh, I actually just remembered one. Emma Watson was supposed to be in the Emma Stone role, Emma Watson, Hermione Granger, Harry
Oh,
Potter fans.
thank God.
She actually dropped out of this movie to do the musical version of Beauty and the Beast, which Ryan Gosling was originally in to play the Beast, but
Hilarious.
he dropped out to do
La
this
La La
movie.
Land?
That's
Listen,
great.
guys,
I love
I've-
that.
Man.
I've never been happier for a trivia fact in my entire life because they are
Love it.
terrible. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And
Keep
I
them in
didn't see
these.
the Beauty and the Beast movie. Megan did,
Don't
and
do
I've
it.
heard it's
Don't waste your time.
Don't waste.
Yeah.
We'll make that a short episode. Don't do it.
The Beast was good, but other
Okay.
than that, Emma was terrible. I'm
Other-
so because I
Oh.
feel like if this movie was done by Emma Watson, I would have completely rejected it.
Yeah.
And another swap for them, Emma Watson, who was in Little Women. Her role was actually supposed to be played by Emma Stone, but Emma Stone had to drop out of that because Emma Stone was doing The Favorite, which she was nominated for an Oscar.
Such a
So
good
Emma Stone
movie.
is just making these amazing career decisions, and Emma Watson's just kind of like picking up the pieces, I guess. So
Emma
it's
Watson
happening.
had Harry Potter. Okay,
Like,
It's
she's
true.
good.
She's not
She's fine.
hurting for money. She's fine. She's
Girl
fine.
good. The last piece of trivia I had is that they had a 95-piece orchestra to do the
95.
entire orchestration.
Oh my God.
And they did it at the MGM studios, where they also recorded the accompaniment for Singing in the Rain and
Wow.
Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
And there was one other fact that just slipped my mind and I didn't write it down, so it doesn't matter.
There's another one that I just remembered because it's so hilarious. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone went to go, and the director went to go visit, I believe it was Fred Astaire's widow.
Okay.
And she showed him all this memorabilia and everything. But while they were there, they accidentally left the door open, and Fred Astaire's widow's dog ran out into the street.
No.
So Ryan Gosling and Damien Chazelle had to run down the street to rescue Fred Astaire's widow's dog. And what Damien Chazelle told Ryan Gosling on the way out is like, we are not going to let Fred Astaire's widow's dog die today.
100%.
Can I get that in a blooper reel?
I need
That's
that
something
in
I
a-
need.
I need that
Imagine.
in a bumper sticker.
Can you
that
imagine?
I
Wow.
can't.
That
Cannot
is-
And
imagine.
that's trivia. Wow.
wow.
Woo!
So here we are. We made it to our final segment, worth a watch.
Unless you're a Patreon subscriber and you want rants and raves,
That's true.
Which that's coming up in just a hot second. But yeah, now we got worth a watch.
much like Prue Leith discusses in Great British Bake Off, is this cookie worth the calories? Stafford Jones, is this movie worth your time?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. 100%. I don't know what else to kind of like contribute to this other than that. Like, it's like a great romance. It's really one that will like ground you if you're a person like me who like loves rom-coms and like believes that everything is fake. Like, this will 100% ground you. And it's just generally really fun and really good, and I really enjoyed it. So yes, 100%. If you're wanting to watch La La Land, watch it. You're welcome.
Megan.
Yes, absolutely worth a watch. I will say, keep in mind, it is 2 hours. And the thing is that you can feel it feels like 2 hours, but at the same time, there's not a single second of this movie that I would cut. Like, everything that's in it has purpose. Everything that's in it feels necessary and feels earned. So it is a little long, but it's absolutely worth the calories. Ben.
Yes, I was so pleasantly surprised, and I really appreciated the way that they conveyed the journey for these two different artists. I felt very seen and very heard as an actor.
I second that.
And there are a lot of people who I think would agree with me, not just actors, but I've spoken to both current and former casting directors who are like, no, there are often times where you guys are just treated like shit.
Like
and
garbage.
it's not right and it's not fair. So to see Emma Watson's journey, there's that scene where
Stone.
oh my God. Yeah, Emma Stone. Thank you. To watch Emma Stone's journey, that scene where she's auditioning and she's crying her eyes out, and the casting assistant walks in and starts asking about lunch. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And that actually happened to Ryan Gosling, apparently.
I
So
was
they
wondering
drew
about
on
that.
they drew on a true experience. So it's a feel-good movie. I was so pleasantly surprised about everything. It does run a little bit long. Act 2 sags just a little bit, but I totally agree with Megan in that there's not a whole lot I would cut. Maybe hindsight, there's a few things you can maybe move around, but it's such a beautiful story, and I can't wait to get into rants and raves and talk about what we want to rant about and rave about. But yes, watch this movie. Totally worth a watch, worth your time. I recommend it to anyone and everyone.
Molly.
No.
Molly!
I know.
Let's hear it.
So, like I said, I think I was in a mood today because this is one of those movies that like people are like, you especially will love this movie.
That's what
I
Megan
know
said.
That.
I should love it. And I don't know why I don't, except, okay, I do know why I don't. This is also a hot take. I don't think Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling have chemistry, and everyone in the world does think they have chemistry. And I think there are. I know Stafford is leaving.
Thank you.
And like I know it's a movie musical, and not like musical theater actors, but like I just kept thinking of other people they could have cast in those two roles. And it wasn't them.
Sure.
Could have been Emma Watson.
It was the woman who was in Hadestown. The lead in that, who was nominated for a Tony.
Eva Noblanzada?
Yeah, like I would have. She wasn't famous at that point. I realize now that this movie was made 5 years ago.
She was still waiting in line in the non-union line at
She was still in high school, but like that was the vibe I would have loved to have had going into it. I didn't. This is really what it was. I didn't watch this movie for a reason for the longest time, and if I hadn't been doing this podcast, I still wouldn't have seen it, and I don't think I missed anything.
Okay. Interesting,
Molly. I thought we were going to be friends.
I know. I know.
But I can't do this anymore.
And again, I did cry at the beginning. So I cried at like the musical numbers because I loved, so like I think the production was great. I don't know. I was never sucked in. I was never drawn in to Emma and Ryan. I was constantly nitpicking. Maybe I'm just in a mood today. Maybe I need to watch it tomorrow and record an addendum. But I
don't know. That's 2 hours for an addendum. That's
time.
I was think that's the whole point of Worth a Watch.
Right. So here's the thing to our listeners. If you still don't want to watch it, don't feel bad about it. But if it's on your list and you're like, I don't know why I haven't watched this, give it a shot.
Yeah. If you're humming and hawing about it and you're like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But if you're like, I really don't want to watch it.
Yeah. Don't watch it.
I can agree.
Fine. Molly says don't watch it.
Okay.
If you don't like movie musicals, you're probably not going to like it.
Definitely don't watch it.
Like, yeah.
Because this is like the quintessential, and I love when people just burst into song for no reason, but this is like the quintessential thing that people like hate, which is like, there's no music, we're watching people walk, and all of a sudden it's song and dance. And I love it. People hate it. So
yes. All right.
Yeah. I know.
There it is.
That's our episode.
Please don't hate me, Stafford. Stafford hates
So now Stafford hates Molly.
I'll talk to you about it in the rants and raves. So guys, stay tuned for the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stafford, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything that you're up to? Anything that we should let our listeners know about?
Listen, I always plug my Instagram at Stafford Jones, but most importantly, follow me at Tipsy by 12. Guys, I am so tipsy right now.
Already.
Is it Tipsy
podcast?
Is it Tipsy X12 or is it Tipsy Y12?
Tipsy BY and then the number 12 12. So Tipsy by 12. Follow me there. Me and my sister talk about lifestyle things.
I love
and
your sister. You guys have great banter.
So fun. I love her. I mean, she's my sister, so I have to love her. But if she wasn't my sister, I would also love her. Follow us there. And follow me at Stafford R. Jones. You can follow Sydney at Sydney with a Y. She's like WHY. She's not on this podcast, but she's a hoot and a half. But yeah, those are I think my big plugs.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Well,
follow along. Molly, thank you so much as always for your help. for
Anytime.
guiding this ship today. And thank you all for listening and our Patreon subscribers for watching. If you are a Patreon subscriber, Ransom Raves is coming up, so be sure to stick around for that.
And if you're not a
Definitely.
Patreon subscriber yet, you can
What is wrong with
quickly.
you?
What are
can
you doing?
quickly- And let's just shit all over you and then tell you to give us money.
You're a terrible person. I mean,
You can find us very easily by going to patreon.com/SIMAC podcast. There's plenty of different things to pick from. We've got some Patreon specific merch. So go there, find a membership level that suits you, and support this podcast and all the wonderful people that make it a reality. Also, find us on social medias. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, SIMAC podcast. Just do it. We're funny. I'm there tweeting, you know, I've got some funny tweets up there.
Rocket shows up every once in a while.
Rocket definitely shows up. Yes, he does.
Good boy.
Hi. You,
Does someone just say my name?
yep,
Fine.
he's. Yeah, I'm curious how many of our listeners have heard Rocket drinking water. Because, like, that's happened at least 2 or 3 times as we've been recording this season, and I'm curious who's caught it. At any rate, I think that's everything.
That's it. Thanks, guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
So I Married a Cinephile is hosted by Benjamin Farmer.
And Megan Carver.
It is produced by Molly McCarthy with original music by Tom McGovern. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at
SIMAC Podcast.
and you can find us on Patreon at
Patreon.com/SIMAC Podcast.
subscribe today and help out all of the artists that make this podcast happen.
So I married a cinephile.